Hi, my name's Dr. Richard Shaughnessy. I'm principal investigator for the study, and we're very happy to have you to be part of the study. You are critical to the success of what we're trying to do. Without going into the entire study, let me just explain. What we're trying to do is get biocontamination levels on surfaces within an airport that are high touch, high contact surfaces. So you might think of doorknobs and stairwell handles and etc. Anyway, it's never been done before in an airport. We're actually going to go on planes. You're going to have escorts to help you with this. And Rich Johnson will be your immediate supervisor, and he'll be filling in the holes. So what this video is intended to do is I'm going to give you a brief kind of overview of the study and some points that will be, again and again, they will be repeated. But I need you to pay close attention and take notes as you watch the video. Again, this is a groundbreaking study. It's not been done before, and we're relying on your expertise and ability to take the samples and provide that data, fill in the data sheets properly, so that we get results that are necessary. In the end, we'll be taking thousands of samples with your help, and so we're looking forward to it. A few things, kind of overview, that are just fundamental principles of the study. I need you in the field. You'll be working in teams of two to be consistent, work together. If you have a problem working with your partner, again, you have to talk to your supervisor there, Rich Johnson, and we'll rearrange that. But your data is only as good as your team, both of you, can provide and work together. So make sure you follow the information as best you can. And if you have any questions throughout, don't guess at the answers. Call Rich Johnson again, and he will explain anything. If you're on site and you don't know about a certain surface, he'll be able to give you that answer. And ultimately, I'll be advising him as well. I need you to be thorough. Make sure you're taking the samples properly and you're recording the data properly. I need you to be responsible and dependable. I mean, a team, again, it's only as good as the two of you working together. And if one shows up late, the one person is on the clock, and meanwhile they're waiting on you. So be sure to be prompt and on time when you're scheduled to be in the airport. So that's really a key. I mean, Rich will be talking to you about that as well. But having to be responsible and dependable, you've got to be there and take the time to do it right. Don't let your partner down. Don't let the study down. The data is only as good as what you collect for us. Take your time, do it right. You've got to be precise. You've got to reproduce what you're doing, be able to replicate what you're doing again and again and again. So make sure you've got it down. It will become easier after a few days, and you'll be able to streamline more. But at the beginning, you're going to have questions. You're going to have some challenges. And again, take your time. If you don't know the answer, get with your supervisor there in Atlanta. If you make a mistake, and so important, don't compound the mistake by another mistake. So all I'm saying here, if you take the data and you're not quite sure that you did it right, hey, start again. Find another surface to begin that sampling on and go from there. by all means, don't continue down a road where you know the data's not going to be representative or good, and that does the study no good whatsoever at all. And actually, it introduces many confounders that we already have to deal with our statisticians at the end of the day. Move down the line as you work as a team. You will become more adept at this, but take your time at the beginning. Make sure you've got it right. Make sure your questions are answered. You're going to be dealing with some very expensive equipment. The monitors that you'll be using cost upwards of $4,000 to $5,000, just a handheld monitor. We can't afford to lose those, so nor can it be dropped. Now, if by chance something does happen and it gets dropped, you need to inform Rich Johnson right away, and we'll intercalibrate and see if there's any damage done, and we'll have to take care of it. But when you're not using the monitor, make sure that it's in a secure place and not on a ledge where it could get knocked over. What samples you're going to be taking, you're probably asking by now. There are two types, and without going into too much, one is called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Many of you are studying sciences right now at the university, and we're glad you're a part of the study. But if you don't know what ATP, adenosine triphosphate, is a measure that we have that can be used to sample, and it will reflect the level of biocontamination on surfaces. So we're going to swab surfaces, put it into a meter, and you'll get ATP in what are called relative light units. All you have to do is record that number and put it in the data sheet. You'll see later in the video how to use those monitors properly. On the viral samples you'll be taking, no one has ever done what we're going to be doing here. As program director of indoor air research at the University of Tulsa for close to 30 years, I can tell you that I've been involved in many aspects, but we've never been able to grab samples in an airport to look at the prevalence of viruses on surfaces. And I don't need to explain to you why we would be doing that now, or why Delta Airlines would be interested in that. Some closing remarks that are important for you, and then the video will follow and follow up on how to use the data sheets. You'll be using iPads. You're going to input the data. It's good to have one person doing the swabbing, another person entering the data. You know, you'll figure it out. You'll work together. But some important things to remember is that the start times for what you're going to be doing will be based on what objective we're working on. We have 4 different objectives, and I'm not going to go into that right now, other than the fact that each involves different types of sampling sets. So you'll pay attention to the data sets, you'll pay attention to what Rich Johnson instructs you on, and it will tell you when the start time is, depending on what area of the airport you're in, or if you're working on an aircraft. And one part of this, it's we have 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. 2B is where we're actually taking a sample at the beginning of a period of time, and then we're tracking the contamination throughout at least a 4 to 5 hour period. The important thing I want you to remember, sample the area when you're doing that. In the first sample, you'll be taking a pre and post cleaning sample. Rich will explain how that's going to occur. But after you do that, you want to step back and get out of the way, because we do want people to cross through, and we do want people to be able to, those customers and everyone, to then touch the surfaces and do whatever they normally do. So that's very important. Take your sample and get out of the way. Probably when we get to that objective 2B, you'll be more adept at using these things. Another thing, all viral samples, you're going to be taking a swab, and then on the viral samples, you're simply going to swab, break off the top of the Q-tip type sterile swab, put it in a buffer solution. We're then going to ship all the samples back here to the university, and we'll be ultimately analyzing here and with Yale University the virus load related to the samples you collect. Now, it's important on the viral samples that all viral samples are linked to ATP samples. And what I mean by that, if you're taking an ATP swab here on the surface, and then you grab the ATP swab right here, then you're going to want to take your viral swab co-located with that. These two are linked, so just don't take a ATP swab here and then a viral swab somewhere else. Now, this will make sense to you as we get into it, but again, just overarching, the viral and the ATP are interconnected, they are linked, they are paired, and they're co-located in the same proximity. And a couple of last comments. Be super careful on taking the viral samples. What you carry on your hands, you wouldn't imagine what you carry with you, all the viruses and the different types of bacterial and etc. Even fungi that we carry with us that are human-borne. So we want to be very careful about that. You'll be wearing gloves. You don't want to contaminate it, cross-contaminate any surfaces. So be sure to follow those principles very closely. And again, if you have a problem, if you do it wrong, just stop right there and start over again. All right. There is going to be a template area provided to you to where you swab within that area. You don't want to touch the outer part of that area, the template part. You're going to thoroughly swab the surface inside the template, and you'll see that in the video forthcoming. Those are really just some opening remarks, and I can't thank you enough for being part of the study. You're going to see a little bit on the data sampling sheets, how to use the instrument, a little bit on the virus sampling, and a little more information on that. And all of this then will be explained again and again with Rich Johnson. I can't thank you enough for you being part of the study. I look forward to meeting you. I'll be there on several occasions during that period of time, and I'm relying on your help. It's going to be an excellent piece of work, and we appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move into the portion where we're actually working on the checklist, and we're working through the 4 objectives that we have. Now, I'm going to take my mask off. We have distancing here in the office, but it's very important you follow safety protocols that are in place with Delta and wear the mask at all times. One other thing, inevitably, is going to happen. Customers are going to come up and ask, what are you doing? The only answer should be that you're part of a cleaning study on behalf of Delta, and it is to make certain that people are safe from contamination as we move forward. So that's a good thing, a positive spin on it, and leave it right there. Don't get into any details as to what is what. So let's start off with the first objective. We're going to go through 4 here. And what we have here is a spreadsheet. And you're going to have these on your iPads. And hold on, excuse me, videographer, can you see that there?
Yes.
Okay, good. And so what we have here is, I'll try to blow that up a little bit for you so you can see that, but these are on the iPads. Now, for the first goal, we're looking for ATP distribution. This has to do with aircraft. So we're going to be looking at 10 separate aircraft to be sampled. Now, the aircraft are going to be docked after they've done their flying for the day, and we will be labeling those aircraft as the duration of the flight or how many miles that the last flight was, so that we know essentially what the distance of the plane coming in was. That should be laid out for you. You're going to have an escort, remember, with you, and he or she should be able to help you with that. On every plane, we're going to look at 20 surfaces, and on every one of these spreadsheets, you're going to see right here, you're going to see location, air management, airport manager, point of contact, address, that's Hartsfield, Jackson International Airport, city, Atlanta. The Wi-Fi, you're going to need to get that Wi-Fi from your supervisor so that once you have your data sheets loaded, you will send them. We don't want to lose data, or it simply means we have to repeat everything again. Again, we're looking at 20 surfaces per plane. And on those surfaces, we're going to do 4 samples prior to cleaning on each surface, and then 3 samples after cleaning. That'll become apparent as you get into this. There's a lot of focus on lavatories that Delta Airlines is interested in, and because of area, we don't have as much area related to the surfaces. We still need to get at least 2 pre and 2 post cleaning, but I truly believe that we're going to be able to get at all 4 of the pre samples and 3 of the post samples. We're going to take viral swabs, I already mentioned that, and we're going to do that, and they will be labeled for you already. You don't have to worry about that. And anytime on the data sheet you see a highlighted area, that means a viral sample is to be taken. And that will be the label on that viral sample. Now, your supervisor will give you, for say you're on a plane that day, he or she is going to give you the packet of sampling vials for to be able to take the viral swabs. So that should become apparent as well. And as far as the ATP, we're going to show you that here in a minute. Let me show you briefly the 20 surfaces. And again, only the highlighted ones are where we're taking viral, and those are lit up here on the page. And you see that, and those are the 20 surfaces. And I'm not going to go through them all, but Rich Johnson, the overall supervisor in Atlanta, will have pictures of the different surfaces, which will give you an idea of where you want to be sampling. These are the surfaces right here that we're going to be covering. And it goes right on down, and you see the aisle armrest. And lavatory, we spent a lot of time on the lavatories. Now, essentially what you're doing, you're going across, and this represents for 1A, as we went through at the beginning, we're doing this for 10 separate aircraft. So, given that, for each aircraft, you're going to have this set of data that needs to be filled in related to the surfaces. Let me show that to you. We're going to scroll down. All of this is for one aircraft. And again, this will be explained to you again, but this is sample 1, sample 2, sample 1 viral. And remember, the ATP and the viral are co-located. That means they're taken in the same area and at the same time. Then we take another ATP. We don't do it on top of the sample you've already taken. Always go to a new area close by. And you take a pre, as it says pre, then cleaning will be done. And you'll have an escort to do the cleaning right then and there. Then you could take a post sample. You'll figure out your own sequence of how you'd like it to blend together and work most efficiently for your team. And there will be help. Anytime you have a question, go to Rich Johnson. Call the supervisor. And you're going to do that right on down the line for every aircraft. And anything highlighted, again, will be viral, and there will be kits for that swab. Okay, so let's go on then to the next one, which is 1B. 1B, what we're doing here, and let me blow this up a little so you can see that, and these are going to be on your iPads, but the goal here is you have 21 surfaces, and now we're doing it throughout the airport, not on an aircraft. These are, for the most part, they'll be scheduled during the day at particular times, and Rich Johnson will give you that information again. We're going to do 3 separate days of this sampling. So what is shown here is for 1 day, okay? 1 day. And then you'll go to the next checklist for the 2nd day. And then the next checklist for the 3rd day. And we're going to label that. That'll be day 1, day 2, day 3. Somehow that got left off. But we're going to put it in to make it clear for you that each one of these checklists is for a separate day of sampling. With this, again, you're doing essentially what you did on the plane for different surfaces. And here in the airport, we're going to be looking at 4 different areas. We're going to be looking at the lobby. This is where people check in with their baggage and everything. We have specific surfaces that'll be shown to you. Then we're going to go to the B gates, B as in boy, and we're going to look at certain surfaces again. We're then going to the Sky Club and then the Sky Zone, which is where kids may congregate during the day. You're going to have different teams going to each zone, so that should be laid out. But essentially what you're doing here, again, for each surface on a given day, you're going to be taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 different samples of ATP, and it will tell you right here, I need a pre means pre-cleaning, post means post-cleaning, and that will change. We don't do that for every sample, but you'll see that throughout here on the data sheet. We also do viral, pre and post here, and again, there will be special kits that are already labeled, and you just sync them with this, so they're co-located with that ATP. You can do that, and again, the numbers change as you get towards the last sample, but just follow the data sheets and you'll be fine. You can do that for 3 separate days, and that should work fine. Let's go on to 2A, and with 2A, that's another objective. Now we're going back to the aircraft, okay? We're going to do 6 aircraft here. And the only difference will be that they will have already traveled and come in at short distance or long distance flights. The ones from 1A, the aircraft that we did, for the most part, those are medium distance flights. And that we'll gauge that for you and get that information for you. Really, it's going to be based on how many miles the plane traveled. So, but that's going to be given to you. We've already done medium distance, so we don't repeat it here. We did that. We'll extract data from 1A to use here. But with that, what you're doing as you come onto a plane, we're going to take 8 pre-samples and 8 post-samples. And on a given plane, this will say, for example, for plane number 1, we're going to grab all of this data, and let me scroll down and show you. Now, on the plane, we're doing less surfaces, but you need to concentrate on those surfaces and be very careful to get good samples. And you're going to do pre and post. That will, yeah, let me see. There it is. Pre and post, and that's pre-ATP, post-ATP. On this part, we are not doing viral, so don't worry about that. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and you're taking those samples. This sample area, each time we take a sample, we need to know the area that we're sampling from. We're going to show that to you here in a minute when you're doing this sampling, how you're going to gauge that. But in these slots, these are just the ATP numbers that you get from taking the sample. We'll show you how to get those numbers. And as we come across, we're going to take those samples, and then we move into the next plane. Okay, so this is for another plane. It may be on another day, whatever, but you're going to record that right there. So we'll know which plane, which day you did that. And again, there's no viral here. We're going to do that for another plane, third plane, and altogether, we're coming across getting data from 10 different planes. So it should be pretty straightforward, not a lot of problem. I'm sorry, I said 10 different planes, I meant 6. We're doing 3 short distance and 3 long distance. Okay, so that's why it has plane number 6 here. My fault, my slip there, but it's all here on the data sheet, and it tells you we've got to get the 6 planes. You're not going to do this all on one night, so don't worry about it. These data sheets, of course, have date and time. All right, and the last objective that we have is 2B, and that has to do, now we're back in the main terminal, and we're doing the same zones. We're doing the lobby, we're doing the gate, we're doing the Sky Club, and we're doing the Sky Zone. And we're taking similar samples. We're going to take less samples here, but we're going to do them throughout the day. So you're going to take samples at the beginning. With the lobby, we're going to take samples at 8 a.m., as you can see here. And let me see if I can blow that up for you. And this is all on the iPads. You'll see that we'll take that at 8 a.m., then we're going to come back for another round at 10:30 a.m. and you see we take less samples there. It's all here. It tells you how many we need. And then at the end, you're going to take a final round of samples at approximately 12:30 p.m. These aren't precise times, but essentially 2 to 2.5 hours apart, you're going to be taking these samples. And what we're trying to achieve here, we're trying to get to what we call a buildup over time. So the one thing I could ask you is that each round of when you take these samples, don't sample on top of the last sample. You've got to do it close by, and this will be shown to you here in a minute, but not on top of the last sample. So you'll take a pre-sample and a post-sample, and then subsequent to that, we're going to take, next time we're actually not going to clean, we're just going to come in and take a sample as it is, as people have touched it throughout the day. And then 2 hours later, we're going to take another sample after people have touched it throughout the day. And again, this will all come together. I know you're going to have a lot of questions, but we're going to be there for you. Rich is going to have a team of supervisors to help you. And all of this is done again for the different areas, and you see different start times for the different areas, such as B gates. We're going to start at 12 p.m. and then the next round on those B gates will be at it should be 2:30 p.m. Yeah, 2:30 p.m. and then the final round will be at 4:30 p.m. Okay, just a couple of notes, and then we're going to move over and show you how we do this sampling. Pay attention, close attention to the data sheets. The surfaces, you sometimes will be measuring, will be irregular, so you're going to have to, there'll be measuring tape, and you're going to have to be able to calculate the area of a cylinder, of a irregular object, and get as close as you can to the square centimeters. We're trying to get to approximately 25 square centimeters on this and get that taken care of. And you know, the timesheets will tell you when to take them, where to take them, what we're sampling from. And don't forget on this final objective, don't sample on top of a previous surface. We want buildup throughout the day. We want it to be close to. The viral samples on 1A and 1B, those are only taken for the highlighted samples that you've got there. All right, we're now going to move into the actual grabbing of the data and how you do that with the instruments, and we'll pick up there. We're here to take the samples, and before you take any samples, always put on the gloves. Show us the gloves, and you want to make sure and put them on properly, and put on a new set of gloves every time you move to a new area. When you go from one area to another, you should put on a new set of gloves. So what we're doing here, we're doing pre and post ATP. This is the most basic from the data sheets. That means pre-cleaning and post-cleaning. Now, we have an ATP monitor. This is an ATP swab. Let's go ahead and what we're going to do, we're going to take an ATP pre-cleaning here, and then we're going to go ahead and flip it over like you would. We're then going to clean it, and you're going to bring it back over. And where will you take your ATP post-cleaning? Right here. So, ATP pre, ATP post. All right. So let's go ahead, and we've got the monitor, and if you can go ahead and we've got the swab. Okay, we've turned the meter on. We're getting ready to do the test. Once you see that, you're going to see quick test. Can you show us then what they do at that point? Very simple. Okay, you're going to hit quick test, and you'll see these numbers here. These are past numbers related to other samples. Don't pay attention to that. It's not important. We're not logging, or data logging at this point in time, so that's not necessary for you to keep track of. So with that, we have the swab, and go ahead and show us what we're doing. We pull the swab out, and the important thing is, as you can see, she's applying pressure to the surface without touching the edge of the template. Now we're going to go ahead and cut it short there, because the point is we're going to go in each direction, and we'll go diagonal. Is that correct? And the point is, do it as many times as you need to be thorough, and you're kind of rolling the swab as you go across. And it should be moist as you're doing that, and you should see that. If you have a dried up swab, that means we've got a bad swab action. Shouldn't be. All right, once you've got it thoroughly covered, and only inside the template, not on the edge, you're going to put that back in the swab tube, and you're going to take a hard push down with your thumb. Then we're going to shake it for 30 seconds, 30 seconds. And after 30 seconds, we're going to open it, and all you do is push the button in the back to open it. You'll then place the swab in the top. There is a hole to insert it in, and make sure it's inserted. And then all you have to do at that point is hit start test. And it will give you a reading. Those RLUs, they're called relative light units. Those are the units that we use for ATP. That's the number of RLUs are related to the intensity of the biocontamination on the surface. Now, before she laid down the templates, you pick up another template over there. All of these should be sterilized with the alcohol cleansing pad. And that's very important to do with your gloves on. So you're going to sterilize the corners of these. Now you're not going to be sterilizing the surfaces at all, but what you're doing is you don't want cross-contamination from the template onto the surface. And we'll do that on both sides carefully. And then we're going to lay it down. Okay, so we'll assume this has already been sterilized. We'll get that out of the way. And now we've already taken that pre-sample. Now cleaning has to occur. Good part for you, you don't have to do the cleaning. Someone's going to come in from the escort with you. They're going to do all the cleaning now on the surface, wherever you need a pre and post. And they're going to do that, and they're going to use a cloth, a disinfectant, and another wipe. And afterwards then, we're going to lay this back over, and that's why we set it up like that. We took two of these, taped them together, and we put it back over such that we could then take the post sample right here. And we'll take that sample post-cleaning, and now we have pre-cleaning, post-cleaning, and you've done that for the ATP. That is your essential sequence for pre and post ATP cleaning. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is that sometimes we're going to be taking ATP pre and post, and we'll be doing viral pre and post. So the same kind of thing goes. We're still laying out templates if you want to show how those would be laid out. And after you've sterilized them, you can lay them down like that. You can put all 4 of them down if you'd like, all 1, 2, 3, 4, all together. It's up to you, but you want to do it in a co-located area. That's the important thing. And by co-located, wherever you're doing the ATP, it has to be, of course, we can't do it on top of the same area, but it needs to be co-located. Now with viral, we're going to show you how to take that sample properly. You're going to have a kit. It's going to have a swab in there, if we can, and you're going to have a vial, and you'll take that out. Make sure that you have your gloves are extremely clean at this point. For any viral sample, you should probably go ahead and change out your gloves right then and there. Now, you're going to remove the top, make sure the top is not on a surface, so you're going to bring it up so we don't get any contamination, additional contamination. Now, the vial has a little bit of solution in it. Go ahead. And we're going to take your swab, put it in the buffer solution, and then you're going to do a pre-cleaning viral sample. So you'll be doing the same thing as we go through there, up and down, diagonal, and you're going to thoroughly cover that without touching the outer edge of the template, where the template comes in. Once you've done that, you reinsert the swab in there, and at that point, you're going to break off the swab, okay, and leave the sterile cotton portion with the wooden attachment to it, and you're going to put the cap back on it, and you're going to then put that back, put them up, and you're going to put that back into the designated package that you have, where it's already going to be labeled for you. For example, this is for pre-sample, but the label will be correct for you of what you're going to use. You're then going to do the same thing. You're going to do the cleaning, and that cleaning could occur when this cleaning occurs, so you can do that, and you're going to clean that surface, and then you're going to do another viral post-cleaning sample right there. All right. A couple of important things is that you want to be very careful taking the viral samples. For each objective, you're going to be doing it differently. You're going to be taking different sequential samples. Use the gloves properly. Make sure you use the swabs. And if you have any problem, redo it. Take care to do it properly. So as I said at the beginning, and we'll kind of close at the end, some of the same things. Consistent, be thorough, do it right, take the time to do it right, repeat if necessary. We want to be precise and be able to replicate this data. And you will have a lot of supervision to be able to fall into place on that. And Other than that, I think that's the best we could do here. There's going to be a lot more to add to that. The irregular surfaces are going to be the challenge for you. But in grabbing this data, you'll be able to approximate what the area is with the measuring tape that you have. And you can Google the area, how to take the area of a door handle, approximate what the surface area of whatever it might be that you're taking it from, and do the best you can. Some areas that you're going to be taking it from are too small to do this, so you might have to take your pre-cleaning sample right here, if this is what we're sampling. Then we're going to have to clean that and take your post sample right there as well on the same surface. Not ideal, but if you're limited in space, that's what's going to happen. But again, we'll help you through this. I know you've got more questions, and we'll get through this together. There'll be a team to answer everything you've got. Do my technicians here have anything to add? Okay, looks like that's a wrap for today, and good luck, and we'll be working with you. Thank you.